Good morning. Hey guys, just wanted to jump on. I'm a little surprised that these are still going. I feel the Lord on it, so I'm going to keep doing them. You know, it's really important to do the things that you feel that God is showing you. Faith is an interesting thing that oftentimes, I tell people when I teach them to hear from the Lord, hear his voice for them. I teach them they have to do it as if they were children, as if they were an 8-year-old. An 8-year-old hears a thought go through their head, and they're like, "Oh, that was the Lord." My daughter, my 11-year-old daughter, she says, "Dad, I saw an angel. At least I think it was an angel." Anyway, it was this blue streak that just ran across the room, and you know, I hear that, and our natural mind, our natural adult mind, wants to say, "Oh, honey." That was just something else. It was probably a little flash of light or something from the window. And you know, but I tell her, I say, "Reagan, the more you just believe that those thoughts, those streaks, those things are from the Lord, the more you're going to actually see the true God doing things." And so, gosh, what if she's wrong half the time? What if she's wrong half the time, and half the time she's just making it up and just, you know, but what about the other half? What about the 1 out of 10 times? You know, that 1 out of 10 times, say she sees the Lord move in the room just 10% of the time. It's really the Lord moving. Would you rather have 10% more of God or 0? I remember we'd be in meetings, and by the way, good morning. We just jumped right in. Sometimes I just go. I was in a meeting one time, and someone was feeling the presence of the Lord. They started laughing, and you know, sometimes these manifestations of God. And if you're new to this stuff, just welcome to the actual real God. That historically, this is how the early church experienced God. We talk about Saint Francis of Assisi, that he would say that preach the gospel at all times, and if you have to, use words. So we use him as an example. But you know that he actually claimed to talk to animals, and all sorts of radical other things were going on with those old saints. But we don't talk about that part because that's weird. But the Bible is full of weird stuff. Anyway, so I was in this meeting, and this one person started laughing, and the person next to me, you could tell they're irritated by it, and they say, "Oh, I think that's just fanaticism. That they're just making that up." And I don't know where I heard this, but I heard it from somewhere, so it's not really mine. But I heard someone say, even if they're experiencing 10% more, even if that little laughter that burst out was just 10% God, that's 10% more than you're getting. And I heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh, even if it's 90% our flesh, our own whatever, if it's 10% God, that's 10% more than I had before. And I just think that's amazing. So let's jump in. I was just thinking about this idea of being dead to the world. Where they say, "Dead man tell no lies." Isn't that what it said? Or "Dead man tell no tales." This is old, it was Jack Sparrow or something like that. But this idea of being dead and just being alive in Christ. Galatians, it's 2:20. It says this. It says, Paul's saying this to the church that's trying to figure out who God is in their life and what they're supposed to be, their identity in God. And Paul says this. Listen. It says, "And I have been crucified. I've died with Christ." Crucified. "I no longer live." The Paul you see here no longer lives, but Christ lives in me. He lives in me. He lives in me, through me, around me, before me, behind me. The life that I live, this life, the life you're seeing, Paul says, and you can say this too, the life I live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God. I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. And so I do not set aside the grace of God. I don't set aside the power of God to live through me. For if righteousness comes through the law for something that I did, then Christ died for nothing. What he's saying is that if the light that lives through you came from what you could do, then Christ died for nothing. And so I just want to say that right now, that Christ didn't die for nothing. He died so that he could be in you and live through you. And so that, but in order for him to live in you and through you, this is mystical, you guys. This is deep. This is beyond all the little churchianity stuff we hear. That Christ lives in you, which means that you have to lay aside your life. And what does that mean? We oftentimes think that means like, oh, it means I can't own things, or I can't, everything that I have is his. And that's really true too. But the deeper point here is that if you are alive, if Jesse is alive and kicking and living out the life of Jesse, then God's life doesn't come through. But if Jesse died with Christ, died, meaning when I got saved, we talk about baptism, right? Baptism is a manifest. It's the evidence of our salvation. Baptism is almost the response to being saved. Being saved is when you believe with your mind, declare with your mouth, and you turn and you begin to follow God. Not just believe, but follow him. There's fruit of following God. When you get saved, we get baptized. What is baptism? Water baptism is when you get dunked underwater and you come out a new man. So what happens is you get dunked, the old man is held underwater until it dies. I know we don't think of it that way, but you hold that old man under until he's fully dead. And then you bring him back up, and you have the fullness of God. Now that you have died, God can live. It says that unless a seed is planted and dies, unless the seed falls to the ground and dies, it can produce nothing. A seed has to die in order for it to produce a tree. You have to die in order for your life to actually live. It's the upside down kingdom. In the kingdom of heaven, you die to live. You serve in order to have to be raised up. It's amazing. It's amazing. If you want to go higher, you have to go lower. If you want to receive, you have to give. It's just a really good thing. It's interesting. Even in the kingdom, if you want to get hungry for God, you have to eat more of him. In the natural, you starve yourself to get hungry. Anyway, this is wild stuff. So let me read this again. I have been crucified. So now as I read this, I want you to see yourself dying today. And I want you to see yourself dying so that God's fullness can live through you. I have been crucified with Christ. I no longer live, but Christ, he lives in me. And the life that I live now in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God. Faith in what? Faith that he is in me, moving, having his way, delighting in me. He's proud of me. He's excited for today. I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself up for me. He freely gave himself for you. That's the beautiful thing. Last thing I feel like I was supposed to do this morning is there's a book called my buddy wrote it. It's called The 60-Day Challenge by Jason Lomolino, good friend of mine. I could share so much about this great man of God. It's a good friend of mine. He wrote it 60 days. It's a 60-day challenge. Every day there's a declaration. And I just felt like today to read one of these. So I opened up to the page that was last at. And I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this over you. And I wish I could put it up on the screen and do all this fancy stuff, but I just don't have the time to do editing. All right, so it says here, I declare. Sorry, I've got some weird soundtrack going on. I'm trying to figure out, I should have just stuck with the normal one, but I get bored sometimes. I declare that I bring breakthrough and blessing to every life that I encounter. My presence brings healing, freedom, and confidence to all people. I believe the best about people and call out the gold in them. Like Jesus, I am here to serve and not to be served. My life is not my own. I have been bought with a price and joyfully get to glorify God with it. Today is the day that God has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm going to read that again. I'm going to read it again just because it's good. I declare that I bring breakthrough and blessing to every life I encounter. If you want to read along with me, you can, or just repeat after me. My presence brings healing, freedom, and confidence to all people. Woo, that's a good one. I believe the best about people and call out the gold in them. This is who I am. Like Jesus, just like him, I am here to serve and not to be served. My life is not my own. I have been bought with a price, and I joyfully get to glorify God with it today. So today is the day that God has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. There's so much goodness in that, you guys. Today, declare that you are walking breakthrough, that today is the day that this is the best day ever. This is the best day ever because you woke up with breath in your lungs, which means God's not through with you. If he's not good, he's not through with you, it means he's empowered you to walk this day out with his delight in you. With his delight in you. Remember, we read, delight yourself in the Lord. He'll give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to him. Trust also in him, and he will do it. So this morning, we're going to delight ourselves in the fact that we are no longer living. We have been crucified. We've been baptized. We've been held under, suffocated in that water. And now the resulting you is a you that's fully alive in Christ, because none of the old you is getting in the way anymore. And so I bless this day that Jesus, who loved you, he wants to live this life through you in this life. He wants to be the hands and the feet, and you're going to be his hands and feet. Anyway, bless you today. Father, I pray a beautiful, special blessing that today is a special day. Bless you guys. I hope this blessed you. We're going to keep doing them. There's something on them. I'm going to try and change up these icons because I'm getting bored of them. And I got to find something that'll work that I feel like. But anyway, like and subscribe, do all that stuff because I think it really helps. If you have a comment too, or if you want to just encourage me, you can do that too. I always love encouragement. It's good to encourage each other. Okay, last thing. That's a good point. My son, August, he's 9. He's playing soccer right now. We were just talking about him. And he's just naturally a really positive, encouraging person. But I just said, August, the most encouraging person in the room always has the most influence in the room. Isn't that neat? You might not be the leader of that room or that team that you're on at work or wherever you're at, but the person in the room with the most influence is the one that encourages the room the most. And so I encourage you to be an encourager. Look for things to say. You're amazing. You're doing a great job. I love that thing you just said. Wow, I tell you, your smile lights up the room, Cindy. Wow, Jacob, I just tell you, when you said that in that meeting, I felt like I just felt like it was just wise. I really appreciate you're on the team. I love what you bring to the team. I'm just so thankful I get to work with you. Cindy, you're an amazing barista. You just lit my day up the way you asked me how I'm doing. Not many people do that. And I just want to say, you really blessed me. And so those little nuggets of encouragement, I tell you, will create such a fire in your heart because you'll see that you're influencing people around you. And everybody wants to influence even a little bit, even if it's just one person. We want to make people's days better. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say. Bless you guys. Have a great one.